Look, grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking Well Show.
What's going on, guys? Romer the Romer here. I'm here with Heidi, and she is in graduate school, and she did $322,000 in sales, according to what I saw last night on your laptop.
And it's only October 7th.
Yeah, so the year's not even over with yet. So she's beating me right now. I have a year goal of $500,000, and she's ahead of me. But with that being said, we're going to get into how she did that, and she's not paying for graduate school by doing this. She's smart enough to get enough money from via stipends and stuff like that, but she's providing for her family. She's got a baby, little son, right? Mm-hmm. And so and you have a house, and she's alive right now, and she's alive because she made money selling books on Amazon. And so tell them a little bit about your business model and how you're able to flip books from purchasing them on Amazon and then reselling them on Amazon.
So I do exclusively online arbitrage. By the way, should I be looking at the camera or you?
Whichever you want.
Okay.
Yeah. It might be more real if you look at me, but if you want to tell them something, they're right there. So.
Right. So I do exclusively online arbitrage. I focus on textbooks, which have a large seasonal variation in price. So these are the kinds of books that are probably assigned to large freshman classes of 200 students at a time across hundreds of universities. So the prices tank at the end of the semester when everybody's selling them, and they steeply rise at the beginning of the semester when students find out what the assigned reading is for their courses.
Mm-hmm. And so she's flipping like the same books over and over again. So she found a list of books that work. And so now she has confidence to spend upwards of $100,000, which we'll get into how she got that much capital to start out with, because you started with nothing, right?
Yeah, so I started this at the end of college when I was really strapped for cash. And I owed like 3 months in rent to my roommates. And I realized I could sell my own textbooks, and I'd get more money for them if I just waited till the beginning of the semester rather than selling them right at the end of the semester.
What about selling to that textbook guy on campus, the guy that buys books for cash?
At that point in time, I don't think there was anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you guys can sell your textbooks to Avery.
That's how I started, because that guy didn't give us shit, and I was able to cut him out by being like, I would just give like $5 more, and so I was that guy. But that was years ago. That was when you started too, but I didn't know anything about online arbitrage. I didn't know the seasonality of textbooks and all that. So
I remember in college, we just shared textbooks like on the floor of our dorm. If someone took the class, like they'd give the book to someone else.
I downloaded PDFs online.
Yeah, I
for
did
free.
That too.
Yeah.
Or I used the library. No, I was actually so strapped for cash in college, I couldn't afford books a lot of the time. So I just used the other resources.
Yeah.
So
this is our second time shooting this video. So I'm asking her like a lot of the same questions. So I'm trying to actually blaze through this first part so we can get into the good stuff. But I know you guys have a lot of questions about how she even got the money to start out. So do you want to get into that? She used credit cards. So what are you looking for when you get a credit card, and why did you use a credit card in the first place?
So when I realized that I could hang on to my own books and sell them in like mid-August instead of June or late May when the semester was over, I decided to buy up more of the same title and hold on to it until the prices rose, because I saw that reliably year over year there was a spike in August. So I went and I got a credit card, or maybe I used one that I already had, and bought up a bunch of inventory. At that point, it was probably under $1,000 worth of books. And then I made a couple $100 that season, and that was quite a lot for me at the time.
Yeah. And so then you started getting promotional offers, right?
Yeah. So if you open new credit cards, to incentivize you to open the cards and use them, there are often promotional offers. So either like a cash bonus or 0% for some amount of time. So that's what I use quite often. Every 18 months or so, I'll open a new round of credit cards, which have 0% for 12 or 18 months.
Off the top of your head, do you have any you recommend to people? Like Chase? Do you use Chase? Or?
I use all of the above.
Okay.
No particular recommendations. I mean, credit cards are credit cards.
What, starting out, if you had no credit cards right now, what would make it worth it for you to open up a credit card? Like it's got to, like what if I had like an annual fee of $200?
No, don't do that. There are plenty of free options.
Okay, so free, would it be 0 APR for 1 year? Would a bonus, would it have to be a bonus for you to open it up?
It really depends upon your situation. If you've never had a credit card before, then you have no credit history and you're not going to be able to open a lot of cards.
Okay.
So you might want to go to the bank that you already have a relationship with and open a card there. But what you can do is you can go to creditkarma.com and look at recommendations for your particular situation. So if you have low credit or no credit or high balance, I mean, if you have a high, you should never be planning to carry a balance on your credit card if they're charging interest. Like the point is to use these tools to your advantage, not to incur debt.
Mm-hmm. And so earlier I'm going to back up and talk about how we met. I drove across the country living in my car. And then I think Reezy posted something about like a bookseller meetup and it was $200. And I was like, do I really want to pay $200 to go here? Whatever. And so I was like, I probably should, because I watched a lot of these videos and I walk in like an hour late because I went to the address on the receipt, which was like to the company that they had the ticket that you bought the ticket on. So it was in California too. So I went to like an hour away. And so I showed up like an hour and a half late and there was no seats available except there's Caleb flagged me down because he knew my face from Facebook because I messaged him so many times, so many different questions. He's like, oh God, this kid just walked in. And I got to sit next to Heidi and him. And then I was talking to Heidi and I was trying to figure out if she was legit or not. Because at these events, people will talk.
It went both ways. Doubting each other at first.
And I was just like, okay, she's talking all this. And then she didn't really say any numbers, but I could just tell she's acting like a big shot. And I was like, all right. She sit next to Caleb talking about online arbitrage. I get it. But over time, we stayed in touch via Facebook. And I would ask her questions here and there. But then eventually I was like, wow, she's really doing this. She's making a lot of money. And like we said, she did $322,000 in sales this year. What'd you do back then?
Oh, I'd have to check the numbers.
Okay. Was it, but were you at the point of spending above $10,000 each semester?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think I did $250,000 in sales that year.
Okay. Exactly. So, and then I was picking her brain. That's when I found out she essentially makes a list of all the books that she knows have proven to have seasonality, which you have a virtual assistant. How'd you hire a virtual assistant?
So my first virtual assistant, I got a recommendation from the Facebook groups, like the Book Flipper, or now I would go to Avery's Facebook group, Romer the Romer, but that didn't exist at the time. So that was my first experience working with a VA. So just figure out how to pay them via PayPal, how to track their hours, how to communicate with them. Yeah. And then this spring I needed one, so I went to Upwork.com.
Yeah. You did a great job because I looked at her manual as you sent them to me. And I mean, you could probably give some tips just to everyone out here, because a lot of people are scared to hire for the first time because they don't want to bring anyone on the team because it's too much money. But a VA, I think she way overpays her VA. You paid $5 an hour for your first one, but even then you said you felt like you were underpaying them. But the manuals you wrote out were very clear. I could have done the task without talking to you at all. How important is that? And how'd you get like that? Is that just natural to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to make a manual. You just go through the procedure that you figured out that you do yourself, and every step you take a screenshot, you write down what you're doing. I think it's essential. I also took a lot of video screencasts while I was running through my procedure, and for that I used an app called Tiny Take.
And would you show them to your VA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so with Tiny Take, you can upload the video to their server, and then you just have a URL to your private video, and you can put that in the manual. Gotcha.
I'm almost liking written manuals more. I just feel like people can gloss over a lot on videos.
I think people tend not to read carefully. Yeah.
Okay.
I noticed for my listers, I have 2 listers now, a stay-at-home mom and her mother-in-law who's temporarily not working. So it's great because they can do this work from home. I wrote a big manual for them. I feel like a lot of the finer points were missed. I expected them to go... Oh, I'm good. Thanks. Okay. I expected them to use it as a reference, and they ended up asking me a lot of the questions that I'd written out answers for.
There's this new software. It's called Trainual. Have you heard of that?
No.
So it allows you like because you're always going to be updating your manuals to an extent. Like something new is going to pop up, or you shouldn't be doing something, or maybe like counterfeits are a huge problem. So what you can do is you can update the manual instead of like, what do you use, Google Docs usually for your manuals?
Yeah, or just Word.
Okay. So if you like on page 3 of your manual, if you add like this little text, like watch out for counterfeit, someone that's been working for you for a long time, it's going to be, you can actually highlight, I found this out the other day. You can highlight it and have them like check mark that they saw it. But if you, with Trainual, it'll actually bring down the percent completed for the manual to like 95%. So they have to go through the whole thing and improve and take a quiz and everything. They're 100% done, but every time you add something new, it bumps it down to 95%.
Oh. So
I thought that was pretty cool.
I'll check that out. That sounds useful.
Yeah. I'm not sure how legit it is. It's like $80 a month.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. So, I mean, for $80 a month, it better be worth it. But yeah, I know you're opposed to.
I'll stick with Google Docs.
Yeah, because you don't even use, she's doing all this online arbitrage, and you use Camel,
Mm-hmm.
and Keepa. Do you use Keepa?
I do use Keepa. I find that
You use Keepa now that you have to,
15 euros a month is like completely worthwhile.
She's paying $15 a month, guys.
Euros.
Oh, euros.
Yeah.
Is it, wait.
I think it's a German company, so they
So
charge
it's like
you in euros.
17 a month, right?
A whole 17, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know, I'm breaking the bank.
Yeah, she, but when I met her, she was using no paid software. So that's a high five. Okay, so let's take a step back and talk about your first entrepreneurial adventure.
So the first entrepreneurial thing I did was in junior year of college, where I joined a friend of mine who designed Tesla coils. So Tesla was a scientist in the 1800s and inventor. He's kind of a rival with Thomas Edison. So one of the things he invented was called...
Thomas Edison?
Really? One of the things Tesla invented was the Tesla coil, which shoots lightning. It's like a lightning generator. So what you can do these days with modern technology and modern transistors is you can modulate the spark to produce sound waves by basically the spark heats the air and creates these pressure waves that you can hear a sound. So together we made a DIY singing Tesla coil kit that we put on Kickstarter. And this was supposed to be just a fun little project to raise a little bit of money for the, whatever we wanted to spend money on. But
And what is Kickstarter?
Kickstarter is a crowdfunding platform where you can put up a project and set a goal, a monetary goal. So we said we wanted to sell 100 of these kits to make it worthwhile that we put all this effort into their design. And we wanted to sell 100 kits within a month. And we thought we'd be lucky to do that. If we didn't raise that $20,000, then we get nothing. So it's an all or nothing funding model. If we exceeded 20,000, we'd get to keep everything. So it was like December 26th, or right before New Year's. And my theory is that there was no other interesting tech news happening at the time. So we immediately went viral. It was like nothing we had expected, nothing we were prepared for. Within a week, we had sold 600 of our kits, and we were just in way over our heads. So it took us a full year to fulfill all those orders. But it was pretty neat. I mean, it was nice to work on a product that was in demand and that people liked and had kind of a neat result.
Yeah.
All these singing Tesla coils all over the world. So I stayed at the company for 3 years before deciding to start grad school.
Nice. So with that being said, this whole textbook thing is like a cash generator for you. You're probably not super passionate about analyzing Keepa graphs and camel and looking for flips. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? As far as just anything, do you think you're an entrepreneur at heart? Do you think you're going to just keep, pushing forward like that? Or do you see yourself getting a job? Where do you see yourself?
I don't know, Avery, what I want to do when I grow up. That's a hard question. No, I think entrepreneurship is so fun. Working for yourself, there's no thrill like it. The highs are really high and the lows are really low.
Yeah.
I don't have passion for textbooks. I mean, I'm sorry. This isn't really benefiting the world. We're just exploiting and.
Well, you did create 3 jobs.
Yeah, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And certainly the standard of living that is allowing me and my family to have over just a graduate school stipend, which is barely above minimum wage. That's great. And that's why I do it. And there are other aspects, like there's a thrill of the hunt when you find a good deal. That's kind of fun. So I like to say I don't play video games, but I look for textbooks.
Yeah.
But I mean, is this a business that I have passion for? No, I mean, it's not benefiting humanity. And, so people of privilege, I think we have a responsibility to do something to benefit humanity in some way.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep pushing this question. Do you see yourself being like an entrepreneur, like in this science field?
Yeah.
And how would that look? Because like I'm really curious, like how would that manifest itself? Because a lot of people think being an entrepreneur is like going out and doing your own thing and like starting from scratch. But being in a field like this, I mean, you have a ton of smart people around you, and maybe they're not as entrepreneurial. I don't know. Like you tell me, like, are most of your friends entrepreneurial? Like the science people?
Not many of them. I mean, I think a lot of grad students who are working towards PhDs in physics or electrical engineering. I'm in electrical engineering. They're just happy writing papers, and they get their thrills from knowledge. I don't know. It's a weird question. I don't know what my future is going to look like.
Gotcha.
What's your future going to look like?
I'm gonna build a house out of books, live in a mansion.
Well, if you build the house out of them, you can't sell them anymore.
It's gonna be the duds.
And it does. Okay.
Yeah, all the Reader's Digest. So, tips for people just getting into this. If it's their first season, they have $1,000 in their bank account. They don't have a credit card. What do you recommend? What do you recommend they do?
Well, first of all, my model of buying rather expensive textbooks and waiting for the price to peak is a rather capital-intensive one that I recognize is not for everybody. But if you decide you would want to do this, I would recommend casting a wide net. So don't buy multiples of the same title, but rather spread your resources.
I remember her giving me that advice now. She says that. I bought like 50 of one title that I thought for sure were going to like skyrocket, and ended up tanking. So I spent like $1,000, if not more, on one book. But yeah. Take that advice.
I remember Avery sending me the link to that book, and I looked at it and didn't really want to say anything. So, yeah, I'd recommend finding, through trial and error, some top sellers that you can then go to next season knowing that there's a high probability that they're going to sell again.
Gotcha. So, factors, do you care about seasonality? So she cares about the price going up and down. Do you care about supply, like how many offers there are? Do you care about
I don't look at that. All I look at
ratings. Do you care about ratings?
Radiance?
Reviews.
Oh, ratings. No.
Okay.
I just go by the camel plot of lowest merchant fulfilled price. I like camel because it's just one red line. It's so easy on the eyes, and you can just right away see, is this a book with a good seasonality or a crappy seasonality? And I save all the ones the good ones that I find in a spreadsheet that I then go through.
And now your VA is doing that mainly, right?
Yeah, so my VA goes through this spreadsheet, and she sends me links to items to buy, and then I buy daily or weekly, depending on the time of year.
Gotcha. So as far, like, I always get this question about hiring your first employee. I'm talking about here in America. How'd you go about doing that? How'd you find her?
She's the wife of a friend, basically. And that's the question. I think we just became Facebook friends, or I was talking to her husband, and she's a stay-at-home mom, and he was just talking about how she wishes that there were more opportunities for stay-at-home moms to do work. And I had this need. At the time, my living room was like covered in books, like 200 textbooks at a time I was shipping out this spring. It was just unreasonable, and I really needed help. So I contacted her, and I described my business, and she said she'd be willing to help out. And I did a small trial run, and it worked fine, and we went from there. So now I ship all of my inventory to both her and her mother-in-law.
Great. Well, I'm actually going to end this video, and we're going to make another video that goes a little bit more in depth, where we talk about more like what her criteria is, certain things to look out for, like what makes a counterfeit book, just small things like that. But if you guys enjoyed that video, go ahead and like it, smash that like button. Peace out.
Dope sells like the charge do, but selling's all about potential. And money speaks, then I'm the main act.